What is the detail of the special needs and circumstances proposal for Africa?
Well, it's based on science, and the science is clear. I think science tells us that Africa will see temperature rise up to 2 degrees by the middle of the century. Africa will see temperature rise between 3 and 6 degrees by the end of the century. Um, there will be increased water stress. There will be problems as regards crop yields. Basically, climate-related risk will increase and will put many African elements at risk, whether it is livelihoods, whether it is health, whether it is agriculture. All these will be at risk. So this is why we are asking for special circumstances of Africa to be recognized.
What does recognizing Africa's special needs and circumstances mean to debt cancellation for African countries that have incurred debt for existing fossil fuel technologies like coal power plants?
In Africa, coal accounts for about 5% of energy production in Africa. Yet, Africa has vast reserves of resources, whether it is coal or oil or gas. So those are stranded assets because Africa is being asked not to use these. But in the meantime, Africa has a problem as regards access to energy, access to clean cooling, to clean cooking. So Africa now is in a conundrum where it needs to improve its energy access while it cannot access resources that can allow it to produce that energy in a cheap way. So in order for Africa to be able to cover the higher costs that comes with renewable, of course, debt cancellation and additional finance should be explored.
And will the proposal be linked to new demand for financing and technology transfer?
Of course, because those are elements which will allow Africa to be able to increase its level of ambition. Africa has population growth, Africa has economic growth. So the emissions, when you look at the profiles, they are to go up. If Africa is to go away from business as usual as regards its emission, it needs adequate support as regards capacity building, technology transfer, and climate finance.
Some parties are opposing that Africa be allowed longer than 2050 to transition to net zero. Will this be an issue on the next agenda, on this agenda?
I mean, we need to be serious about this because Africa accounts for about 17% of the world population, but when you look at cumulative global emissions, Africa only accounts for 3%. So how can you ask Africa that is only responsible for 3% of the global emissions